Alright guys, welcome back to Duty's Daggers. Today we're talking about my most carried knives of the year. There's been a lot of good knives that came out this year. These are not necessarily knives that have come out this year, but there are some of them in there. But these are just knives that I have carried the most this year. And that is really the test of, whether or not you really love a knife, right? Is if it finds its way into your pocket more often than other knives. Sometimes it's not entirely logical. Sometimes it's just you're drawn to the knife and you end up carrying it more than other knives. So there isn't a particular limit or whatever. I just went in my case and took out the knives that I've been carrying most this year. I'm going to do slip joints and locking knives separately. So for most of the year, I have been carrying a locking knife along with a slip joint pretty much every single day. If I'm carrying a knife, I always have two, a slip joint and a locking knife. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I like slip joints, so I want to carry one. And also, it's nice to have two blade shapes. So if my primary knife is maybe a sway back, Warncliffe style, I'll carry a spear point for the slip joint. And if my slip joint is a Warncliffe, I'll carry a nice drop point for my locking knife. That way I just have diversity. It's nice to have. I would never carry two Warncliffes. Even though it's cool, it's just not quite as useful. And so anyways, I'm going to do those separately. Let's start with locking knives first. And if there was one brand that took most of my pocket time this year, it has to be Spyderco. And that will probably never change, to be honest. They're just too good. These four Spydercos spent the most time in my pocket this year. The Shaman, Mannix 2, Native 5, and the Delica Warncliffe. These are four super badass knives, and all of them could be one of the best EDC knives. I think the Native 5 is probably the one out of the bunch here that I carried the most out of these three, but these three were in my pocket a lot. The Shaman here, these are AWT aluminum scales that I actually just got. Most of the year it had either its G10 that it came with or some Tarot Tough scales. I just put these on recently. Let me let Floki out here. You can hear him whining. Oh. This is in 15V as well as my Mannix. I was lucky enough to be able to score these in 15V, and I was very impressed with 15V when I got these. Super, super impressed. Everyone was scrambling to get one. There was the Shaman, the Mannix, and the PM2 that came out in the 15V, and luckily I scored these too. I just love him. Not only the blade steel, but they had a stonewash over the blades. I like the Triple B logo there. It just looks cool. I really like the stonewash blades because it goes so well with the clip, and just everything really kind of ties together on this knife. Really, really like it. The Shaman's just a badass knife. It's heavy duty, but it can also slice. Ergonomically, one of the better knives here on the table. Probably the best on the table. It's the Shaman, it's tried and true. Mannix 2, and also in 15V. Also AWT aluminum scales with a titanium ball cage lock from Flightanium and a ceramic ball. Made this a very, very smooth experience. I had a Mannix before this. It was an old used one I had bought in secondhand. Nowhere near this smooth. So I was missing out really until I got this one. The ceramic ball helped a lot too. Just so smooth. Such a good detent as well. The Mannix. It's super slicey. It's 15V. This has an edge put on by Lacey. A very nice edge. MXG clip. Fantastic ergos. Just really slicey. Very, very well-rounded knife. But the Native 5 was my favorite this year out of all these. It's just perfect. This is the perfect EDC knife. Or as I'll say, a perfect EDC knife. Especially with these AWT scales. It really changed it for me. The Native 5 already was one of my favorite knives to carry, but with these scales, it really just took it to a whole new level for me. Ergonomics are great. You know, it's a shrunken down Shaman that's just more carryable, slicier. Um, the blade shape is literally perfect for everything. It's got a low tip, but it's got belly for kind of those rocking, chopping motions. It's slicey. You have the choke up spot. It's just fantastic. MXG clip. The sounds this thing makes, it's nice and poppy and snappy. I just really, really like it. Amazing. And another lockback, the Delica in K390. I carried this a lot when I first got it. Yeah, not as much lately, but I carried this a lot for a few months straight. Once I got these titanium scales on, the copper backspacer, it really, really made me love it much more. The MXG clip as well. It just looks so good. Just really, really good. And this K390 is unbelievable. This was my first experience with Spyderco's K390, and it blew me away. This is the sliciest of all these knives here on the table. Just crazy thin blade stock. This goes through cardboard like it's not even there. It feels great. It's a wicked Wharncliffe, you know. It's very, very good. So, Spyderco spent a lot of time in the pockets. Next, let's talk about some other brands. TRM spent a lot of time in the pocket, but I think the Shadow spent the most time in my pocket. This is the TRM Shadow, and kind of like the Native 5, this is a blade shape that is good at everything. You have a low tip, you got belly for when you need it. It's slicey as all hell. Crazy thin blade stock. Crossbar lock. A lot of really cool details on this knife that I don't have time to go over, but you can watch my full review if you want. This G10 is just sculpted amazingly. It's textured, it's very, very detailed. The way that it's contoured, it's thicker at the back than it is the front here. Just really kind of creates such an ergonomic knife. The beautiful machining on the pivot. This knife is something special. This 20 CV from TRM is really, really done well. Definitely the best 20 CV I've ever tried. It holds an edge like crazy. It's just, USA made. It's TRM. I keep saying it. They're something special. You could tell once you get it in your hand. You can just tell that they're made with passion and love by the people over there at TRM. And I really like this knife. Next, Quiet Carry. The 9 spent a lot of time in the pocket. I even carried this at work quite a bit. At first I was like, this is a kind of a more like, I don't know, not fancy knife, but a knife that you might not, want to do heavy duty work with just because I didn't want to scratch it. It's beautiful. But I couldn't help myself. I had to carry this at work because it's just so good. Probably some of the best thumbstud action I've ever experienced. If not the best thumbstud action I've ever experienced. You could even tell on video just how easily that blade pops out. There's no follow through with the thumb pushing up. All you do is you just break that detent and it just pops out. So easily. It's insane. Extremely smooth. This could very well be my knife of the year. We'll talk about that in another video. Magna cut blade steel, great sharpening choil. This texture is incredible. I really like the blade shape. It has more belly than I typically like. But it can still do utility cutting, not as easily as some of these other knives, but it can do it. It's a great slicer, thin blade stock, really, really comfortable in hand, and it has one of the best clips I've ever experienced. This is a fan-freaking-tastic clip. I just love how it looks. It goes in and out of your pocket so easily, no matter how thick that seam is. It curls around and goes back behind the scale, so there's nothing under there to catch on your pocket. And I love how it's completely flush right here on the butt. It just looks good. It functions so well. Incredible. It's an incredible knife. the Vosti Nightshade. That spent a lot of time in my pocket too. This is one of the premium versions that came out in LMAX. Before this, I had a 154 cm version in just my Carta that I carried a lot. But when I got this one, I got rid of the other one because this one is just better. It's got a flipper and the hole. And this is one of my best cutters, one of my most enjoyable knives to cut with. If you haven't experienced the Nightshade, you have to. You need to get one and just cut with it, and you'll see exactly what I mean. It just, the way it slices, the way that it does utility cutting, it's something you have to try. It's really, really amazing. This one in the copper bolster I had to get just because, you know, I love the patina. It just looks very, very nice. The flipper tab's really interestingly shaped. You know, it's kind of pointing down, but it's got really grabby jimping all over it. Flips really well. Very, very smooth. You can thumb flick it. You can reverse flick it. Anything you want. Ergonomics are great. It's just a fantastic knife. It really is. I urge you to try one if you have not. Next, the most... my favorite budget knife probably ever, definitely of the year, the CVV Cubit. I have carried this knife more than any other budget knife, I think maybe ever. It's that good. It is absolutely fantastic. This is only about $65, and we have aluminum scales, really nice wide rounding of all the edges. Makes this really, really, really comfortable in your hand. Like, seriously, hand melting. Little choke up spot here. Great sharpening choil. And crazy thin blade stock. This thing is slicier than, I mean, not slicier than the TRM, but it's right up there with it. It's right up there being slicey as with the Delica. I mean, look at this. It looks even thinner than the Delica blade stock, actually. It's just crazy slicey. The button lock action is fantastic. Probably the best thumb stud button lock I've tried. Really, really snappy. The action is just addictive. It's so good. I have actually a Kaiser deep carry titanium clip on here. It fits. You kind of have to angle one of the screws in weird to get it started, but then it goes in fine. This is just you can go on the Kaiser website and get these. There's black and then a satin, I think. The clip that it came with really wasn't that bad, but I had this one laying around and I thought I'd put it on. It's so good. This is probably my favorite budget knife of all time. Reminiscent of the Native 5 a little bit. You know, they're similar knives with similar blade shapes. So, you know, if you like one or the other, you will like the other one. Let's step it up in size. The Demco Ad20. I carried this a lot when I first got it. Then I kind of set it down for a couple months carrying other stuff. And then in the last couple weeks, I've been carrying it a lot again. This is such a badass knife. I have decided that of all my knives, if I was to carry a folding knife or bring a folding knife into a survival situation, this would be it. This is the knife I would carry with me in a survival situation as a folding knife. It's just the best. It has a locking mechanism that will not wear out or fail on you. A very strong locking mechanism that you can whack and do whatever you want with. It will not fail. It will not break. It has thick blade stock, so it's not fragile, but it comes down to a nice thin measurement behind the edge with a full flat grind. So this thing slices too. Just really good ergos, choke up spot, great jimping. I have a deep carry Lynch pocket clip on this baby. The texturing on the G10 is really, really nice and grippy. The action is just awesome. Really, really fidgety and fun. And just also, you know, very, very strong. If you like the action on the 80-20 or the 80-20.5s or any of the other smaller Demcos, this is like that times 10. It's like even more clicky clacky. It's even smoother. It's like, it's just the shark lock how it was meant to be, you know. Made in the USA, right from the Demcos, you know what I mean. It's a classic knife and very popular for good reason. And I'm really happy they switched to this full flat grind on these. It was surprisingly slicey. And lastly, the knife that I carry pretty much every weekend. It's hard to get a different knife in my pocket when I'm not at work, and that is my Rosie, my pride and joy. I don't carry this at work because it's an expensive knife that I want to be careful with, but I also use it. So this is my kind of my weekend knife. I just, if I'm going out to dinner, if I'm hanging around the house on the weekend, whatever I'm doing, if it's not at work, this is pretty much almost 100% of the time in my pocket. It's just absolutely perfect. This is the radial milling pattern in the dark stonewash, and I mean, just look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. This is a perfect EDC knife. I can't I can't think of anything negative to say about it. Everything is good. Everything is good. The ergonomics, the insane sliciness, the way the blade drops down from the handle, making it really, really thin behind the edge. Excellent sharpening choil. The action is unlike anything other that I've tried. Just insanely crisp. It's unbelievably lightweight. That was the first thing I thought when I picked it up is, oh my God, how is this so light? It's crazy, man. It is one of the most perfect EDC knives that at least that I've ever tried. It just has everything. It's super lightweight, snappy, slicey, perfect clip, smooth. It has everything. What else could you want? Choke up spot, you're right next to that edge. It just feels so good. So I absolutely do use this. I even did a cut test video on it. It did very, very well. And, it would take a very special knife for me to decide to carry that over the Rosie on the weekend. It's, I've done it occasionally. Sometimes I'll carry, whatever. But, 90% of the time, it's the Rosie. All right, let's talk about some slip joints that I've carried a lot this year. Not as many as the locking knives, but I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I have 5 here that have really dominated the pocket. And let's start with the obvious one, the Ohio Riverjack. This has been in my pocket probably more than any of these other knives, especially at the beginning of the year before I was really starting to get into traditional slip joints. This was the one, and it still is one that I carry quite often. It's just still one of my favorite modern slip joints. It's just, it has that perfect kind of mix of modern and traditional. This jigging pattern is really fantastic. The walk and talk is still some of the best in my collection. It's just amazing. The blade shape is great. Full flat grind Wharncliffe and M390. It's a heavy duty slip joint. You can get real work done with this thing. Next, another traditional pocket knives exclusive, the Hedgehog. This is not the one that I carried the most because I just got this one, but my other one in jig titanium, it's out in the garage right now because I use it for leather. But that was the one that I carried the most, and it's such a good knife. You need to experience it. You need to experience the sliciness of it. It has an incredibly thin edge. I mean, look at that. It's insane. Crazy good utility cutter, crazy good slicer. This version in the camo carbon is actually a little more comfy in hand because it's a little bit thicker than the jig titanium one. I just love it, man. The finish on the blade is great. Walk and talk is excellent. Look at that perfectly centered blade. It's so good. It's really, really so good. The Hedgehog, the hog. A traditional knife I've carried a lot is my GEC number 78 American Jack. And this is one I carried mostly as a 2-blader, and it just recently got deleted into a 1-blader. I actually even like it more now, I think, because I'm just not much of a 2-blader guy. They're a little too thick for me. I like a single blade. It just fits better in my pocket. This is kind of just a really classic GEC to me. Nice spear point blade. I love this elderberry jig bone right here. Really, really beautiful. Really, really nice. Walk and talk is really, really good. Nice patina kind of starting to form there. And it's on the smaller side. And so this is the GEC that I carry. If I want something lightweight, it's just absolutely perfect. Back to modern, my Jack Wolf Laid Back Jack. I bought this one after trying another Jack Wolf that I liked, but I knew that I would like this one a little bit more, and I do. This is kind of more my jam. It's a swayback design, you know. It's like a Barlow swayback, jigged titanium, you know, full titanium, and S90V blade steel with a hand rubbed satin blade. It's got a deep sharpening choil, but it's still, I mean, you know, the plunge grind still begins kind of like right there. So if that plunge grind was just tightened up a little bit, it would be perfect, but not bad. It's a little thicker behind the edge than I would have liked. It's definitely the thickest behind the edge of any of these Jack Wolfs that I've tried, but it still cuts really well, and I mostly use it for, you know, utility cutting anyways. It's a beautiful knife. It's really a good size, kind of right around the size of my 78 there. So just, you know, fits in the pocket really well. It holds an edge like crazy, you know, S90V. Walk and talk is really nice and crisp and strong. Definitely my favorite Jack Wolf that I've tried. Starting to get a little bit of a kind of a wear on the titanium, which I really like. Yeah, it's going to look really nice. You know, 10 years down the road, this titanium is going to look really good. And lastly, I think this is probably the slip joint I've carried the most, and that is my Viper. Since I got this, it's really been absolutely dominating my pocket. Especially like in the last, since I got it, however many months, like 2 months, it's been almost every day. This is just an absolutely beautiful knife. This is the, crap, what do they call it? Let me see here. The blue, Stonewash Blue Natural Bone, that's what it is. I really like this. When I saw it, I knew that was the one I wanted. This bone just looks so good. It's genuine North American cattle bone, obviously, right there. We're starting to get a patina there on the blade. This is just such a classic swayback. I love it so much. I love the character that it's starting to get. There it is in size comparison with the laid back Jack. A little bit bigger. I just love it, man. I just really love this. I love seeing the patina change over time. You know, even on the this brass bolster, or I think it's a brass alloy. I don't think it's full brass. But just, I love how it changes. I love the slip that I made for it. I love how the leather starts to get shiny the more you use it. This is a slip. I usually make them kind of so you can kind of fold back and get the knife out. But since I have a lanyard on this one, I don't need to do that. So I just stitched all the way up, and I just pull it out like this. And I love it. I really love the slip. I love the knife. I love this whole package very much. I really, really do. I should sew the slips with the knife also. This is my swayback slip. I kind of made it shaped a little bit like a swayback. So you kind of fold back this corner to get the knife out. This is the red wax leather with whiskey brown on the back. I love how these two colors meet up in the middle. And then my 78 has some black wax leather. It's black wax with yellow underneath. Really a cool look as that yellow starts to, you know, appear underneath there. Beautiful. My Hedgehog needs an updated slip. This is the a slip that I made really early on. I need to make a new one for it, but that's where it lives for now. And then my Ohio Riverjack, another early slip. This is whiskey brown leather. I put the D the wrong way. I was making it for somebody, so I kept it for myself. But Definitely got a lot of use, and I'll probably keep it in this one just because it's, you know, nostalgic, I guess. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite is down below. Is one of these your most carried knife as well? Let me know. I can't fit all these out here, but I'll put a few out. These are all fantastic knives, and I don't know. I just feel lucky and very happy to be able to carry such badass knives. And thanks to you guys for making this year really, really great with the channel. All of you guys that comment, hang out in the live streams, you know, interact with me. You're all just really, really cool. I'm happy to have met you guys and made friends with a lot of you. And let's make next year even better. Love you guys. Adios.